What if I told you that the one thing a narcissist fears the most is not confrontation, not revenge, and not even the possibility of being exposed? It is something much simpler, yet far more powerful. Something that can completely disrupt their usual methods and make the strategies they depend on begin to collapse. The moment you do this one thing, the entire pattern they rely on can start changing. Today, we are revealing the 7 things that truly disturb a narcissist at their deepest level. These are the reactions they rarely anticipate, the behaviors they struggle to influence, and the realities that threaten the control they believe they have. But before we begin, take a moment to reflect on this. Have you ever responded to a narcissist in a way that completely changed their behavior towards you? Maybe you stopped explaining yourself. Maybe you created a firm boundary. Maybe you simply chose to walk away and protect your peace. Share your experience in the comments because your story might help someone else understand the situation they are facing. Indifference is one of the most confusing and uncomfortable experiences for a narcissist because it takes away the very thing they often depend on the most, your emotional reaction and attention. Many people believe that a narcissist is only looking for love, admiration, praise, or constant agreement. While those things may certainly appeal to them, what they often desire above everything else is emotional involvement. They want engagement. They want to know that they can still create a reaction inside you, whether you are complimenting them, disagreeing with them, defending yourself, explaining your feelings, or trying again and again to make them understand your perspective. You are still emotionally connected to the interaction. From their point of view, that emotional investment confirms that they still hold importance and influence in your world. This is why many narcissists are not always bothered by arguments or disagreements. A conflict still creates a connection. Long explanations, emotional responses, and repeated attempts to prove your side often communicate that they still occupy a powerful position in your mind. Even negative attention can become a form of validation because it shows them that their actions still have the ability to affect your emotions. But indifference completely changes the dynamic. It happens when you stop searching for their understanding, stop needing their approval, and stop allowing their words or actions to determine your emotional state. Instead of reacting immediately to their attempts to provoke you, you remain composed. Instead of spending your energy defending yourself against every accusation, you choose to protect your peace. Instead of trying to win every disagreement, you realize that your emotional freedom is far more valuable than receiving approval from someone else. For a narcissist, this can feel extremely unsettling because it represents a decrease in their influence. They may know how to use anger, guilt, fear, affection, or confusion to create emotional reactions, but indifference gives them very little emotional access. When your attention moves away from them and returns to your own goals, your own happiness, and your own personal growth, the entire relationship pattern begins to shift. The control they once depended on starts weakening because you are no longer responding in the way they expected. Strong boundaries can also be incredibly surprising for a narcissist because boundaries represent something they often find difficult to accept: limits. A narcissist may become used to having easy access to another person's time, emotions, energy, decisions, and attention. Over time, they may stop viewing these things as something valuable that should be earned and respected. Instead, they may begin to treat them as things they automatically deserve. When someone suddenly creates clear, healthy, and consistent boundaries, it challenges that belief. It creates a situation where the narcissist can no longer assume that everything will continue happening according to their expectations. What makes boundaries so powerful is that they do not require constant arguments, emotional battles, or endless explanations. A calm refusal, a simple statement of what you will accept and what you will not accept, or the yet choice to remove yourself from disrespectful situations can communicate a very powerful message. Your needs matter. For someone who is accustomed to controlling conversations and influencing outcomes, this change can feel confusing and frustrating. They may struggle to understand why their usual approaches no longer create the same response. Many people make the mistake of believing they must convince a narcissist to understand or agree with their boundaries. But the strength of a boundary does not come from the other person's approval. A boundary is not a request for permission. It is a personal decision about what you choose to allow in your own life. This is why narcissists may respond with anger, guilt, criticism, accusations, or attempts to challenge the boundary. They may test whether your decision is genuine or whether they can push you back into old patterns. They may question your intentions. They may try to make you feel selfish. They may attempt to convince you that you are being unreasonable. These reactions often happen because they are trying to discover whether the new limit is permanent or temporary. But when boundaries remain consistent, they reveal an important truth. Access to you is not unlimited. Your time is not something that others automatically own. Your emotions are not something another person has the right to control. Your choices are not decisions that someone else gets to make for you. Firm boundaries completely transform the relationship dynamic. They move the connection away from entitlement and toward mutual respect. And for a narcissist who has become comfortable receiving, without considering the other person's needs, this new reality can be extremely difficult to accept. Being held responsible for their actions is another experience that can deeply challenge actions, because accountability forces them to face the difference between the person they believe they are and the way their behavior actually affects others. Many narcissists invest significant effort into maintaining a carefully created image. They may want others to see them as exceptional, admirable, innocent, intelligent, generous, or misunderstood. This image often becomes connected to their sense of identity and the way they protect their self-esteem. When someone brings attention to harmful behavior using clear examples, repeated patterns, or specific facts, the focus shifts away from the image and toward reality. Instead of discussing what they intended to do, the conversation becomes about what they actually did. Instead of focusing on their explanations, attention turns toward the consequences of their actions. For a narcissist, this can feel like a direct challenge because it threatens the story they have created about themselves. What makes this especially challenging for a narcissist is that authentic confidence is something they cannot easily control or manipulate. It does not depend on their praise, attention, approval, or constant reassurance. The more grounded a person becomes in their own identity, abilities, values, and decisions, the less they rely on the narcissist's opinion to determine their worth. As that emotional dependence begins to disappear, the narcissist gradually loses the ability to influence the relationship according to their own expectations, desires, and personal agenda. When someone learns to trust themselves, the power that once came from doubt and insecurity begins to fade. If this message is connecting with your experience, take a moment to support this video by liking it and subscribing. These discussions are created to help people identify unhealthy relationship patterns, restore their self-confidence, and recognize behaviors that often remain hidden beneath the surface for a long time. The moment a narcissist's behavioral patterns become visible can be deeply uncomfortable for someone because much of their influence often depends on managing how others see them. Their control is frequently built around perception, appearances, and carefully created explanations that protect the image they want others to believe. Narcissists often create narratives where they appear reasonable, caring, or misunderstood while minimizing, denying, or hiding actions that could cause others to question their character. When people only notice individual moments instead of recognizing repeated patterns, it becomes easier for the narcissist to explain away their behavior, shift responsibility onto someone else, or present themselves as the victim of the situation. However, everything begins to change when a person realizes that these actions are not isolated events. The hurtful comments are not simply accidental. The manipulation is not just a misunderstanding. The broken commitments, constant blame shifting, guilt manipulation, emotional confusion, gaslighting, and unfair expectations begin to reveal a repeated cycle. When these behaviors are examined together instead of being viewed separately, the complete picture becomes much clearer. What once felt confusing starts to make sense. The person begins to understand that they were not reacting to one single event, but to an ongoing pattern that gradually affected their emotions, confidence, and sense of reality. Narcissists often maintain influence through uncertainty and inconsistency. When someone is constantly questioning what happened, whether they are overreacting or whether they are responsible for the problem, the narcissist has more room to maintain control. But awareness changes that dynamic. As patterns become easier to recognize, people become more capable of trusting their own experiences, making thoughtful choices, and responding to reality instead of accepting the version of events the narcissist has created. Awareness creates clarity, and clarity reduces the power of manipulation. Moving forward without anger or bitterness can be one of the most surprising things for a narcissist to witness, because it interrupts the emotional connection they may expect to end, even after the relationship, friendship, or interaction has ended. Many narcissists assume that they will continue to hold importance in someone's life either because that person still misses them or because that person remains emotionally affected by what happened. In many cases, they may see both love and resentment as signs that they still matter. If someone is still thinking about them, still upset with them, or still searching for answers, the narcissist may interpret this as proof that they still have a place in that person's eyes' emotional world. What they often fail to expect is genuine emotional freedom. Moving on without bitterness does not mean denying the pain, ignoring what happened, or pretending harmful actions were acceptable. It means reaching a place where the experience no longer controls your choices, emotions, and identity. The attention that was once focused on the narcissist slowly returns to yourself, your healing, your goals, and the future you want to create. Instead of constantly replaying painful conversations, searching for explanations, or waiting for an apology from someone who may never take responsibility, you begin redirecting your energy toward things that bring growth, peace, and fulfillment. You start building a life that is no longer centered around what the narcissist did or did not do. This shift can be extremely difficult for a narcissist to process because they may expect emotional reactions to continue for a very long time. They may expect you to reach out again, argue with them, seek their approval, or continue looking for acknowledgement of your pain. When those reactions stop happening, they lose a source of attention and influence that they once believed would always remain available. Without emotional engagement, there are fewer opportunities for them to create conflict, reopen old wounds, or regain the feeling of control they once had. Silence, peace, and emotional independence can become powerful signs that their influence is no longer the same. Healing also transforms the way someone responds to memories and emotional triggers. Situations that once caused overwhelming pain slowly begin to lose their intensity. Things that once controlled your mood and decisions no longer have the same ability to disturb your inner balance. Your choices become less connected to past wounds and more connected to your current values, goals, and personal growth. Instead of allowing old experiences to define you, you begin using them as lessons that strengthen your awareness and resilience. As emotional independence develops, the narcissist's role in your life becomes smaller and less meaningful. The relationship that once revolved around control, confusion, and emotional exhaustion is replaced by a life shaped by freedom, self-respect, confidence, and personal direction. Your success after leaving a narcissist can be deeply uncomfortable for them because it challenges a belief that often supports their sense of importance. The belief that they were necessary for your happiness, progress, or stability. Many narcissists want to view themselves as the most significant person in the lives of those around them. They may suggest directly or indirectly that your achievements, confidence, or growth happened because of their guidance, influence, support, or presence. Over time, this can make someone believe that they need the narcissist in order to succeed or feel complete. But when that person begins growing independently, that belief starts to collapse. Success does not only mean financial achievements, social status, popularity, or public recognition. True success can also mean emotional healing, stronger boundaries, healthier relationships, professional improvement, inner peace, increased confidence, and the ability to enjoy life without constant stress. Every step forward becomes proof that your strength was always inside you. Your ability to overcome challenges existed before the narcissist entered your life, and it continues to exist even after they are no longer part of your journey. This reality can be very difficult for a narcissist because your progress challenges the story they created about their importance. They may have believed that without them you would struggle, fail, or remain incomplete. Some narcissists expect former partners, friends, or family members to experience a major loss after separation. They may imagine that their absence will create a permanent emptiness that no one else can cure. But when they see someone becoming healthier, happier, and more successful without them, they are forced to face a painful possibility. Their role was not as essential as they believed. Your growth also weakens many of the methods narcissists use to maintain control. Criticism becomes less powerful when you develop self-confidence. Negative comments lose their influence when you understand your own value. Attempts to make you feel incapable become less believable when your actions demonstrate strength, stability, and progress. The most powerful part of this transformation is that your success is no longer about proving anything to the narcissist. It is no longer about showing them what they lost or trying to make them regret their actions. Instead, your growth becomes about creating a meaningful life for yourself, It becomes a reflection of your own determination, decisions, courage, and ability to rebuild. Your healing is not a performance designed for someone else to notice. Your confidence is not a message meant to convince the narcissist. Your happiness is not a reaction to their absence. It is evidence that you were always capable of becoming stronger, wiser, and more complete on your own. One of the deepest realities a narcissist struggles to accept is realizing that they were never the source of another person's value. They may have wanted to believe that they created someone's confidence, happiness, or success. But the truth is that a person's worth existed long before the narcissist entered their life. The moment someone recognizes their own value, the foundation of manipulation begins to disappear. Because when you know who you are, what you deserve, and what you are capable of, no one else can define your worth for you. Narcissistic relationships often depend on creating the illusion that your value is determined by their approval, attention, recognition, or acceptance. Through excessive praise, harsh criticism, constant comparisons, or emotional pressure, they may try to place themselves in the position of someone who decides your importance. They can slowly make you believe that your confidence, identity, and sense of worth are connected to how they view you. Over time, this kind of dynamic can cause someone to question their own abilities and begin measuring their self-esteem through the reactions and opinions of the narcissist. What becomes deeply uncomfortable for a narcissist is the moment when a person realizes that their value was never created by the relationship at all. Their confidence, intelligence, compassion, strength, resilience, and potential existed long before the narcissist entered their life, and those qualities remain even after the relationship comes to an end. As the healing process continues, many people begin reconnecting with parts of themselves that they once ignored, hidden away, or reduced because of the relationship. They start making choices with more confidence, trusting their own instincts, and developing a stronger identity that is no longer built around outside approval. They begin to understand that their worth does not increase when someone praises them and does not disappear when someone criticizes them. This realization directly challenges one of the strongest sources of power a narcissist believes they have. When they are no longer seen as the person responsible for giving you confidence, reassurance, or a sense of value, their ability to influence your emotions, decisions, and perception of yourself begins to weaken. Compliments no longer feel like something you must chase. Criticism no longer has the same ability to destroy your confidence. Approval loses its position as something you constantly need to earn. The narcissist may struggle with this because many of them rely on the belief that other people need them in order to feel complete, capable, or worthy. But when someone discovers that their value exists independently from the relationship, that belief begins to fall apart. The person no longer views themselves through the narcissist's perspective. Instead, they begin seeing themselves through a healthier and more realistic understanding of their own character, abilities, strengths, and humanity. This creates a foundation of self-worth that cannot be easily taken away by someone else's opinions. It becomes a sense of confidence that remains whether someone chooses to appreciate them, criticize them, stay snored in their life, or walk away. As we reach the end of this discussion, it is important to recognize that the things that truly affect a narcissist are not dramatic revenge attempts, public arguments, or efforts to prove that they were wrong. The things that impact them the most are often the same things that allow you to rebuild your own life. Your emotional distance, your boundaries, your self-awareness, your confidence, your clarity, your healing, your personal growth, and the understanding that your worth was never something they had the authority to control. These qualities remove the emotional control and influence that narcissistic relationships often depend on. When someone no longer reacts the way they once did, when they stop searching for validation, and when they begin protecting their own peace, the dynamic changes completely.